So the reason that we're here, I'm a lawyer in South Africa, and we represent communities who are affected by development projects, often extractive projects. And they have very, very few tools at their disposal to hold these companies to account. And one of the big reasons for that is that in South Africa, like in many other African countries, we do have significant challenges with what we call corporate capture. So one of the most famous examples in South Africa was the Marikana tragedy that happened in 2012, where 43 miners were shot. There are actually far more human rights violations around that company, Wilmien, a British company, but our deputy president sits on the board of Wilmien. And so that is a stark example of how it then becomes very, very difficult for our government to hold companies to account on behalf of communities when they create incredible human rights violations. So it appears that this week is really important because it is the first time that we're really starting to negotiate the content of the treaty. And so the first two sessions it was more talking about procedural issues, but we are now getting down to what will this treaty actually have to contain in order to fill the gaps that exist in international law. And the gaps, I think, that we all know exist despite the UN guiding principles that have been implemented. And here it becomes far more sensitive, the negotiations, and that's why it's incredibly important, I think, for civil society to be here and to engage with the states who are, in the end, the ones who are going to negotiate the content. So the South African government is one of the champions of this treaty and has been a co-sponsor with Ecuador from the beginning. And that's very, very encouraging for us. And, you know, we despite the fact that corporate capture is an issue in our country and other African countries, I do think that this treaty will help even those countries who struggle to remove themselves from corporate capture, the countries who struggle to keep companies at arm's length. This treaty will really strengthen the state's hand in trying to do that. And I think that's really important for our country. And I'm very encouraged by the fact that they are fighting hard here at the UN for this binding treaty to become a reality.